Chapter 1. These are the words of the wise man, the son of David and king in Jerusalem. Meaningless. Meaningless, says the wise man. Everything is meaningless. People spend their lives working and striving, and in the end, what advantage do they gain from all this? People are born, people die, but the world remains the same forever. The sun rises and the sun sets, and then returns to the place where it rises again. The wind blows to the south, then turns to the north. It goes round and round, and ends up where it began. All the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. The water returns to the places where the rivers begin, and everything starts all over again. Everything leads to weariness, a weariness too great to describe. The eyes are never satisfied with seeing, nor the ears with hearing. What has happened before will happen again. What has been done before will be done again. There is nothing new in this world. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is new? No, everything has happened before, long before we were born. No one remembers what happened in the past, and those who come later will not remember what happens in the future. I, the wise man, was king of Israel in Jerusalem, and I set my mind to examine and study everything that is done in this world. What a heavy and wearisome task God has given to human beings. I have seen everything that is done in this world, and I say, all is meaningless. It is like chasing the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened, and what is missing cannot be counted. I said to myself, I have become great and far wiser than all who ruled Jerusalem before me. I have truly known wisdom and knowledge, so I set out to understand wisdom and knowledge, as well as folly and lack of sense. But I discovered that this too is like chasing the wind. For the greater the wisdom, the greater the frustration, and the more knowledge, the more suffering. What, then, is wisdom? Chapter 2. So I decided to enjoy myself and experience the pleasures of life. But I discovered that this too is meaningless. I concluded that laughter is foolish, and that pleasure is of no real value. I tried to find the best way to live, and so I decided to cheer myself with wine and amuse myself. I thought this might be the best thing a person can do during their short life here on earth. I accomplished great things. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I planted gardens and orchards with all kinds of fruit trees. I also built reservoirs to water the plantations. I bought many slaves, and besides these, I had others born in my household. I owned more cattle and sheep than anyone who lived in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered silver and gold from the treasuries of kings and from the lands I ruled. Men and women sang to entertain me, and I had all the women a man could desire. Yes, I became great. I was richer than all who lived in Jerusalem before me, and my wisdom never left me. I obtained everything I desired. I denied myself no kind of pleasure. I found joy in all my labor, and this was my reward. But when I considered everything I had done, and all the hard work it took to accomplish it, I realized that it was all meaningless. There was no real gain in it. It was like chasing after the wind. Then I began to think about wisdom and foolishness. I asked myself whether a king can do anything truly new, and I realized that he can only do what kings before him have already done. I concluded that wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. The wise can see where they are going, but fools walk in darkness. Still, I knew that the same fate awaits both the wise and the foolish. I thought, what happens to fools will also happen to me. So what have I gained by being wise? And I realized that I had gained nothing. No one is remembered forever. Both the wise and the foolish are forgotten, and in the end, they all die. Because of this, life began to seem worthless to me. It had brought me only frustration. Everything was meaningless. I had spent my life chasing after the wind. All that I had gained through my work meant nothing to me, because I knew I would have to leave it all to the king who would come after me. He might be wise or foolish, but he would still become the owner of everything I had worked for, and everything my wisdom had achieved in this world. Everything is meaningless. So I regretted all the hard work I had done, and felt despair because of it. A person works with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, yet must leave everything to someone who did nothing to earn it. This too is meaningless and unfair. We work and worry all our lives, and what do we gain from it? Our days are full of pain and frustration, and even at night, our minds cannot rest. This also is meaningless. The best thing a person can do is to eat and drink and find enjoyment in the work they have done. Yet I realize that even this comes from God. Without God, who can eat or find enjoyment? God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness to those who please him, but he makes the wicked work, save, and store up wealth so that it may be given to those whom God favors. This, too, is meaningless. It is like chasing after the wind. Chapter 3. Everything in this world has its time. Every activity has its proper moment. There is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build. There is a time to be sad and a time to be joyful, a time to cry and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There is a time to search and a time to lose, a time to save and a time to waste, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak. There is a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What does a person gain from all their work? I have seen the tasks that God gives people to keep them occupied. God has appointed the right time for everything. He has given us the desire to understand what has already happened and what will happen in the future, yet he does not allow us to fully understand what he does. So I realize that in this life, the best a person can do is seek happiness and live as well as possible. We should all eat and drink and enjoy what we earn through our work. This is a gift from God. I know that everything God does lasts forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing can be taken from it. One thing God does is cause people to fear him. Whatever happens or may happen has already happened before. God makes events repeat themselves. I also noticed something else in this world. In the place where justice and fairness should be found, there is wickedness. Then I thought to myself that God will judge both the righteous and the wicked, because everything that happens and everything we do takes place at the time appointed for it. I came to the conclusion that God is testing people so that they may see that they are no better than animals. In the end, what happens to people also happens to animals. Both people and animals die. Human beings have no advantage over animals because both must breathe to live. As we can see, everything is meaningless because both go to the same place, the dust of the earth. Both came from it, and both will return to it. Who can be sure that the human spirit goes upward while the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? So I realized that there is nothing better than to take pleasure in one's work. This is our reward, for how can we know what will happen after we die? Chapter 4. Then I looked again at all the injustice that exists in this world. I saw many people being oppressed and mistreated. They were crying, but no one helped them. No one helped them because their oppressors had power on their side. So I came to this conclusion. Those who have already died are happier than those who are still alive. But happier than all of them are those who have not yet been born and have not yet seen the injustices that exist in this world. I also discovered why people work so hard to succeed in their work. They want to be greater than others, but all of this is meaningless. It is all like chasing the wind. People say that only a fool would fold his arms and starve to death. That may be true, but it is better to have little in one hand with peace of mind than to have both hands full of work, constantly trying to catch the wind. I discovered that there is another thing in life that is not worth it. A man living alone, without friends, without children, without brothers, always working and never satisfied with the wealth he has. Why does he work so hard, depriving himself of enjoying the good things in life? This too is meaningless. It is a sad way to live. Two are better than one, because two people working together can earn much more. If one of them falls, the other helps him get up. But if someone is alone and falls, he is in a bad situation because there is no one to help him get up. If it is cold, two can sleep together and keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? Two people can resist an attack that would defeat one of them if he were alone. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. A poor but wise young man is better than an old and foolish king who no longer listens to advice. A man can rise from prison and become king of his country, even if he was born poor. I thought about all the people who live in this world and imagined that among them somewhere there is a young man who will take the king's place. The number of people a king rules is very large. Yet when he is no longer king, No one is grateful for what he did. Everything is meaningless. It is all like chasing the wind.